Well, day 9 of final whistle, the game and you talk as analysis from, of course, and it's like football in and get rid of see campaign Kingston football beside Eric Adam. Let's go right across Enterprise Lion assistant team to France 20 I row and then of course boys as well as for coach of Jamaica Cup team, also former player. So when things coverage, follow us on Instagram. Last match those matches now contest that one ending 3 Cameroonians believe that Serbia coming back way back into the and keep about the on one next on contest. I'm
times. I think uh, two times there. Much
point behind then had all some
of tough. Turning point, Abubakar. I think because he was offside, and even though he was offside, and he finished the goal, and they are coming in with a different type of decision and onside, and he really turned the game. back with an assist for the next goal shortly after, maybe 3 minutes after that.
Let me bring it quickly. And what it was
teams slept, and as a result of that, both ended up with a draw. Abu Bakr is the captain of the team captain. Many argue that he should be starting. He has now 34 games, one of the just behind Samuel Eto'o. So he's a very good player. He keeps the ball. He can create for the team a little bit better than able to prevent changes. They
leaves Serbia at the foot of the table on a solitary point, along with Cameroon. Well, the Cameroonians have a better goal difference, so they are just ahead of Serbia. The other game in that group served up Brazil versus Switzerland. The Brazilians are through to the next round, having gotten the better of the Swiss team 1-0, leaving it a bit late, but finding the winner. Coach Price, I'll bring you in here. When it comes down to the Brazilian team, they have so many options offensively, and it's almost seemed like it was a matter of when they would score against this Swiss team, and you know where they pull that goal from. They got it from Casemiro, who another beauty from the Brazilians. Your take on how Brazil acquitted themselves in this particular contest? Was it convincing?
No, it wasn't convincing, but I think it was a workmanlike performance. I think the Swiss team had good blocks, good defensive blocks. You could see their 4 blocks, their midfield block and their defensive block. And they made things very difficult for the Brazilian team. But the Brazilians were very consistent, and they kept going. They kept pulling them apart. They got a few opportunities that they didn't convert. But, you know, one thing you can tell with the Brazilian team, they have so many players of quality. When the substitutions were made, you saw that the game took a change, and you know people like Vicinos started to play well. He started to get squares in, and of course, who but Casemiro, the man who does all the dirty work for Brazil to score that excellent goal, probably the second best goal in the tournament so far. It was well struck, but I think that it took a lot longer for Brazil to break down Switzerland because they had a good defensive block, they had a very good shape, and they played well. This is the only match that I've ever seen Xhaka stay right in the middle of the park. It's as if he was walking some of the times. He wasn't moving, he was disciplined. He stayed in the middle of the park to try and protect the game. But
and that's what Brazil will do.
Yeah, and guess what? The Brazilians were relentless, you know, and they kept coming, they kept knocking until they got the important goal.
Yeah, Shavar, Brazil missing Neymar today, and at points his absence was noticeable. You wondered where that, offensively, where that spark of brilliance would come from. And I even heard one of the commentators say that in terms of how Brazil was playing early on, it was clear that possessionally Neymar was his absence.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. You could see that Neymar was missing. To get 9.
He might have goal.
And it's only 3 times that he had space enough to do and to operate. One was the goal that was disallowed. The other one was the cross that he put in, and the striker tried to get at it, and then obviously the goal. Those were the 3 moments that they allowed him space,
Yeah.
and he hurt them.
And a man like him only needs one.
Exactly.
Coach Coley, let me bring in a quick look at this Swiss team. They blocked up the channels as much as they could. Through a quick on
They were in. There you go. I hated that. Okay, so the rhythm changes, and I think I came in and started try to prevent the challenge. Made it a tough for the Brazilian team, and the Brazilian fans like these games because it comes to the knockout, time for the knockout. Having in your back, you give it up.
With it significant that was because today we had the fact today.
Well,
In the middle.
I did not expect him to. I didn't expect Fred to start. To be honest with you, I thought maybe Rodrigo would have started like when the game finished. And started in the midfield. I would hope that he would allow Sancho or more Sancho than Milito to be a little bit more attacking, knowing that it is more defensive.
Maybe my African team, Ghana. That's my favorite African team, followed closely by Nigeria. Ghana, the lowest ranked team in the tournament, the youngest team by average age as well in the tournament, getting the better of South Korea in that contest. 3-2, Coach Radamacha's an exciting game there as well. Many thought the Koreans would have had enough to get by the Ghanaians, but Ghana coming up trumps, leading 2-0 at halftime, and maybe showing that with that young team, showing all of that in that first half where they really ran the South Koreans.
Yeah, I think they show really what they are. They have that young team. They have, experience as in Jordan Ayew that we saw today, what he can bring. But then you also have Kudus, lively, energetic around it, and it's youthful, it's exciting. But at the same time, we also see moments where they're not able to control the game. You're 2-0 up in a game that is most crucial game. And they kind of allow South Korea still to get back, put that pressure on them. And that's still some work that they need to be doing that I think at some point will break them up in the World Cup.
Yeah, Sharona, the experience of the South Koreans came through in that second half, led by Heung-min Sung, the Tottenham player there. Not just any Tottenham player, but maybe their best player. Some English folks would disagree and say Harry Kane, but Heung-min Sung always there for Spurs. But showing up today, Heung-min Sung for the South Koreans, and they showed that experience in the second half and were irrepressible at times in that second half, and tying up the game at 2-2 at one point. Your assessment of them?
Definitely. Both teams exploited the same wing. They were both exploiting on the left side and having, right-footed kicks inside, swinging into the goal. And Cho was a beast.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, it's up in the air, that's mine.
Yeah,
And
he
went
got
for
the
it.
2 goals for the South Koreans.
Yes, he did, and two good goals. And I think once Ghana realized the free kick that the number 9 took, that was replicated in the other 2 goals, passing the ball to the 6-yard box and to the penalty spot, and a little magic on the end. The player missing the ball, but actually setting it for kudos, and he cleaned up nicely.
Coach Miguel Coley, kudos to Ghana today. Their player, kudos, coming up trumps today with that double, and quite the standout player of the match, outside of course of the South Korean who got the double for them. But your quick assessment of kudos, who came up trumps for Ghana today.
Kudos to kudos. He has been playing very well. The coach played him in a different position. I mean, outside, right, where he was able to cut in and create a lot of problem. He had a very good game the first game also, and also Party was, and we said Party, maybe Ghana is going to spoil the party in this group. But it was a very good game. I love how the Ghanaian and the speed in which they played, the changes, the overload in the different sides. I think also the South Korean, they had a good game. They really had a good game also. So overall, it was a very good game. The speed of the game, I really enjoyed. But no team was really controlling game. The South Korean, but I don't think he had so much control. And I was at one point thinking, having that numerical advantage inside of the midfield, they could have controlled. What my concern though for the Ghanaian team is that they didn't prevent the crosses. They know how difficult it is to stop throw when the crosses come in and are completed, and they didn't do much in terms of stopping that. Yeah. My next concern with the Ghanaian team was also the set piece. If you notice, Mensah was a player, the 5 feet 10 player, marking Chow inside the box 4 times. And in the fifth corner, I think they made some adjustment, and he went in the zone, and Party, I think, came on man to man. So they have a little bit of naivety, but they're a very, very good team. The speed of the left back, Mensah, and I think Lapti, the right back, fantastic.
All right, the other game in the group saw Portugal coming away with a 2-0 win over Uruguay. And that was also an exciting contest, Coach Price. And the Portuguese are also through to the second round, getting their second win in this group as well. Your take on how they performed today against what was expected to be a very tough challenge against the Uruguayans?
I thought they played well. I mean, the form chart continues. Portugal dominated the game. I think people like Bruno Fernandes and Carvalho in the midfield brought some amount of stability. So it allowed Bernardo Silva to flow forward a lot more to support Felix and Ronaldo. And they really had the game under control. There were about 2 occasions that Betancourt made some raids, and he should have scored one of the goals where he made a run from deep inside his half, where he had the goalkeeper alone to beat, and instead of chipping it over, the goalkeeper said he tried to play it through his foot, and that nullified. But otherwise, I think it was a controlled game for Portugal. They did what they had to do to get into the next round, and Ronaldo played his role also. He was trying to get a goal today, but they gave it to Bruno Fernandes. Fernandes ended up with a double. But I think it was a controlled game from the Portugal team. They were always in control. Defensively, they looked very, very good. I'm really surprised that 39-year-old Pepe stood up out there and played so well. So kudos to the Portugal team for ensuring that they got to the next round.
Shavar, Bruno Fernandes scoring in the 54th, as well as getting a penalty in time added, coming up big for the Portuguese. And for this Portuguese team, they need persons like someone like Bruno Fernandes to come to the party and do so quite early, and he did that today. Yeah,
most definitely. He's been consistent. I mean, after Ronaldo, he's the guy along with, Bernardo Silva. So it's important that these guys keep pushing it and bringing the team on their shoulders. On the flip side of stuff, if you look at the the Uruguay team, you have Cavani and you have Nunes. They play 73 minutes, one shot apiece. So that tells you that. I mean,
What do you think accounted for that, though?
I mean, as well as the defense line for, like Coach said,
Yeah.
for Portugal, they were
really
solid.
nullified.
They nullified them, but they should have been creating more than they did, or trying to get off more shots than they did.
Yeah, Coach Coley, let me bring you in here. When you look at the statistics here, the Portuguese in terms of possession, 55%, the Uruguayans 45, shots on target, 4 for the Portuguese, 3 for the Uruguayans. So it was a game that wasn't that far off. I mean, the Portuguese getting that victory in the end, 2-0, but overall, it seemed generally a close contest.
Yeah, it was close. It was a matter of just the moments. Some very good moments in the game, and I think the Portuguese team had those, more of those moments in the game. The Portuguese team have a lot of midfielders. You find Bruno playing the right side as a number 10, number 8 player is playing on the right side, and you start wondering what is their best team. But today was a game in terms of where the player was the tactic more than just the general tactic of the team. And Bruno, there's a viral song that nobody talk about Bruno. I'm talking about Bruno. And it was a good performance from both teams. But I think the Portuguese team is a solid team, strong team in all the different areas. They have Ronaldo is hungry. He wants to make a statement.
Coach, let me stop you there. I'm going to be coming back to you because we have a man on the go, and that's Maverick who is on the go. So we must join him now. So let's go to that.
All right. So the Maverick is on the go, telling you, will never know, But the Maverick is on the go, and guess where? The streets carry the Maverick today. Yeah, the Maverick in the middle of the world famous Tivoli Garden. Yeah, man. Yeah, man, the world famous Tivoli Garden. Yeah, where they are Data Show Sports Bar. Yeah, and with that writer top 10. Yes, the part of the community I name top 10. I tell you, is a football crazy part of the community. Right, so we are standing up outside of the Data Show Stadium, because when we're going a while ago, it's a stadium atmosphere in there, Yeah, man, we have Cristiano Ronaldo fans, we have Messi fans, we have Brazil fans all over the place. But right now, we are just jumping and chat to one and two of the people in that place. And first and foremost, we just go to this man first, because this is a Tivoli Gardens legend, Come in, Christopher Kimo Nicholas, former Tivoli Gardens Manning Cup player, national player, and of course, Tivoli Gardens Premier League player. Yeah. Kimo, may I ask you a while ago, or you see the World Cup and which team you support in the World Cup? Where you reach? Which team you reach now?
Which team I reach? I'm Brazilian. I reach them. I stay there. Yeah. Stay there, my boss.
How Brazil look this morning?
We can see that we miss Neymar this morning, honestly. Yeah, because creativity was locked in the first half, as you can see. But it is what it is.
We got the job done. All right, Kimo is also currently the coach of the Tivoli Gardens Manning Cup team in the semi-finals of the Walker Cup, and Kimo said he have to run off now if we go deal with the youth and have a pre-game session tomorrow. So you don't know Kimo, pick up yourself here, sir. We are talking to some more people now. Come here, the man with them call the liar. What do you call him, man? The attorney for the community, diplomat, Diplomat, what one diplomat?
Yeah, man, it's nice to have in here,
Which team at the World Cup are your team?
Argentine, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, Messi there with them, man.
Anyway, Messi there.
Yeah.
You're confident you can make it through the same way?
Confident, man. Still I win the World Cup too.
All right, come on, Brazilian. All right, big up yourself. Come here. Brazilian, the man a pass on him bicycle with all them Brazilian flag on him bicycle. And we say, come here, Brazilian, what go on? How we look?
Go to carry no have to win the World Cup.
Yeah.
And normally as a Brazilian fan, we never depend on no individual for score a goal for us.
Yes.
Any man on the team can score a goal.
All right, don't say a word. Big
Yeah,
up
man.
yourself, Brazilian. Come here, Reverend. All right, here we up now. Me understand this man are the young pastor in the community. Yeah? I keep the godliness going. But here I want to ask you a little bit about the community now. You know Tivoli Garden already. Everybody know Tivoli Garden. Since the World Cup thing are going, how the community are embraced it and how the whole vibes in the community and the surrounding area?
Well, I would say the World Cup has impacted the community in a wonderful way. Reason being because since the World Cup, there's really been no gunshot. Yeah, you understand me? So, the World Cup then cause persons to really stay
Come
inside.
together.
Yeah, and come
Stay
together.
inside.
Yeah, and stay inside and watch football.
And keep out of trouble.
Sure.
And your prayers as well. Big up yourself. Come on, management. Yeah, man. This is the man where this is the liaison in the place. And what going on, my boss? How's everything?
Yeah, man, we're there, man. You don't know we are all of vibes and I enjoy the World Cup, man. It's nice, man. Nice, man.
Nice?
Well, nice, man.
Which team are your team?
You know, so tell you the truth, in a Messi me I bring still in there, you know, Argentina straight.
Yeah, the man answer, the man say Messi and Argentina. Quick and fast, we're going to chat to two more. Quick and fast. What you say, my boss? How the thing look?
Boy, Brazil, I'm a team, you know.
No, say no more, not another word. Come on, my boss. What you say? You're one of the man that make noise in there a while ago. What you say?
Yeah, Diego name say, I'm an Argentine. Yeah, and Messi me I bring right through to the final.
Yeah.
Messi.
All right, people, this is telling you, so with the data true sports bar and lounge, you say, we are the top 10 community in the Migla Tivoli Gardens. You know, so the Maverick get the license, we go anywhere we want to go in the world. You understand me? Anywhere, you want to say, anywhere in the world. The Maverick get the license, we go anywhere in the world. All right, I know the Maverick is on the go. And I told you, you might never know. So watch it again and move the Maverick and move again. Watch it, top 10, watch it.
Right, so that was Maverick on the go. You never know. And that's true, right? So Maverick doing his bit there. All right, so Coach Coley, let me bring you back. He's on Zoom joining us from Qatar, our man in Qatar. So, you see, we're there. Coach Coley, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, excellent. Just wrapping up quickly your assessment there of the game between Portugal and Uruguay. Uruguay, offensively, you know, in that final third, were a bit lacking, or was a bit lacking. But your thoughts on how Uruguay quitted themselves today overall?
Well, I was surprised they came with a back three. So they played basically a 5-3-2 with Nunes and Cavani up front. I don't think they got enough support from the two wide wing backs to really put in getting the crosses like this. They were getting more runs from maybe the Valverde and the Benteke through the midfield. And I believe if they could probably switch the play a little bit more, they could do something. The changes they made, they changed the system to more 4-4-2. Outside of Costa, maybe there was not much difference inside of in the game. The Portuguese team, I think they controlled the game. They had very good players inside of the midfield. They had a point man, Ronaldo, who when they needed him, he could keep the ball. And the game was much more about the individual. As I would put it, the player was basically the tactic because both teams were a little bit, especially in the middle of the park, were a little bit even inside. There was a lot of back inside of the midfield, and I think today the performance was basically who won the game was based on individual brilliance, and Bruno came up trumps.
All right. By the way, don't go just yet, Coach Coley. The table, how the table looks there in Group H. Let's look at that now. So the Portuguese are through with 6 points, safely through, just like the Brazilians in Group G. So there you go. Looking at the table, the Portuguese already qualifying for the second round. They will take on Ghana in their final group game. The Uruguayans still in with a chance. They'll take on the South Koreans, who also are still in with a chance. So it's still anybody's game for second place from that group, Coach Price. But Ghana they're on the bubble, 3 points. Possibly needing just possibly a draw could get them through, or should get them through.
Yeah, a draw would get them through, but the thing about it is when you have points on the board, you have to play as if you have those points on the board. So going into that game, they must go for a victory. Uruguay, they're in a catch-22 situation where they have to win. They have no choice but to win if they hope to qualify. And what you have to do is also look at the other teams. What will the other teams do? Yeah. Portugal, having qualified already, will they rest some of their top players and have them fresh for the second round? Or will they go all out and try and get maximum 9 points out of the group? So all teams are going to be going for the jugular in that final round of games.
Yeah, Shavar, that South Korea-Uruguay game will be quite a contest as well. The South Koreans are not to be written off, as we saw them make a go for it today against the Ghanaians, coming back at 2-2 before eventually losing 3-2. The Uruguayans, though, things not looking maybe as smooth for them, finding it hard to score, and maybe not going the way they.
Yeah, I think Uruguay haven't got it going since their first game, and it continues today. Hopefully, in the next game or the final game, they can really put a performance together, and with the front line they have and the midfield they have, put a good performance in, they can get a win.
Sharona, how do you see second place going from this group?
Well, I'd love to see Ghana going through, but I think that South Korea-Uruguay game would be a game of pride. And that's probably where both of those teams may have their best game of this tournament.
Coach Radamacher, the Ghanaians, the youngest team by age, by average age in the tournament. They go up against a vaunted Portuguese team. But could they be facing a Portuguese team who might have their foot off the pedal a bit, having already qualified?
Ghana's playing Portugal? Is that the last match? Which one's the last one?
I do believe so. But we can double check.
But yeah, I really hope, as Sean was saying as well, that Ghana advances. I think we've seen a good amount of exciting football from them. That makes us want to see more of this good football. That keeps us all excited in the World Cup. Because we all have one team that we support, but there's so many matches, so we want even those matches to bring some excitement. I think that's what Ghana's bringing in. So I hope that Ghana advances.
So it's Portugal, Korea, and Ghana, Uruguay.
So I think
yes.
Uruguay, I think it comes down to the same thing where Ghana, we want them to advance. They have that youthful, they have the exciting players. But Uruguay might just in time find the drive and the motivation to get a win, because as Shavar was saying, Uruguay hasn't found their ways yet.
And also in that, from that group, Coach Miguel Coley, no one will want to face Brazil, because Brazil winning Group G, they will face the second place team from Group H. So that will also be a part of the permutations here.
You prefer to go home?
So, Coach Coley, let me bring you in also. I mean, in terms of Portugal already qualified, but still something to play for, and not just winning, but they want to ensure that they top the group.
Yeah, this is the World Cup. They have a big team with strong personality, and they have a coach who's under pressure. So you would want to win, to have the fans and the people believe in this team. And you want to always win your last game going into the second round to have some momentum going to the second round. So I think it will be a very difficult game for the South Koreans. I believe Portugal will be the first place team. Any other team will play against Brazil. The Ghana and Uruguay game is absolutely an interesting game. I believe, based on the Ghanaian team, they're very ambitious, a little bit naive at times, but they're getting better and better. They're understanding each other more, and they're having some players, some key players. You look at Jordan, Ayo, the brother of Anthony. He's coming in his own. The wing backs, as I said, the Mensah, those guys are playing very good football, good quality football. They're moving the ball quickly. And, it's going to be very difficult against Uruguay, who I believe should go back to their 4-4-2. They tried 3-5-2 today. They end up finished with a 4-4-2. I think they need to go back to that system. It's very offensive for them. They have two strikers, and they have a box-to-box midfield. But it's an interesting game, but I hope my prediction was that Uruguay and Portugal would have go through, but based on how Ghana is playing now, and you see the color of my skin, I'm very biased.
There could be the spoiler there.
I want them to go through.
Yeah, by the way, those matches will come up on Friday. So, and at Ghana, Uruguay at 10, same time for South Korea and Portugal, and at 2, Cameroon, for the other games on Friday, Cameroon, Brazil at 2, and Serbia, Switzerland at 2 as well. So those two groups, the teams advancing from those two groups will play each other in the next round. All right, speaking of the next round, we have a break. So we go to that and come back with lots more right here on the Final Whistle. Soon come. All right, welcome back to Final Whistle. I am Jermaine Brown. On set with me, Andrew Price, Shavar Thomas, as well as, well, to my left and your right, Sharona Forrester and Coach Eric Rademacher. And on Zoom, we have Miguel Coley. We're going to be jumping right back into the action there in Qatar. Well, come tomorrow, the final set of matches, group matches begin with starting from Group A, of course. The Netherlands, Qatar, and that game comes up at 10, along with Ecuador, Senegal. We're going to be starting with those two games. The Netherlands, Qatar. Coach Coley, I'm going to be starting with you here. You are in Qatar, so I must begin there. So the Qataris, they go up against this Dutch team, and they're already out, but pride to play for. Your assessment of how you think they will approach this match, seeing that they have that ignominious record now of being the host team not to get a point from their opening match.
Well, they have to really push the whole thought of not being the first team not to be knocked out like this in the first round. That's the reality. They have to put that in the back of their heads. Important though is that they want to finish with some pride. But they come up against a very strong team in the Netherlands who's oozing with confidence. So it's going to be very, very difficult. They would probably wouldn't want this to be their final game, but I believe, they won't win the game, but I believe they will have a better performance from the team. And, you have good player performance and you have good team performance. But a tough game for them. They lack a lot of experience, but it was a great opportunity for them to showcase what they can do to add some value to the competition. But tough luck. I believe it will be lights out for them tomorrow.
Well, it's already lights out, but it's a matter of how they'll come out of the dark come that final game. Coach Price, let me bring you in here. The Dutch team, some say they haven't been as convincing. They've come into this tournament, as maybe one of the teams to look out for. How do they go about that final match tomorrow?
Well, it has to be a business as usual for the Dutch team. Like you said, they haven't looked very fluent throughout the round. And tomorrow's game being the final game of the round, I think they would want to go into the knockout phase on a high. So I think that Van Gaal will put a strong team out there and ensure that he gets a victory tomorrow. Like I said, they haven't been very fluent, other than Gakpo. Nobody has really stood out for the Netherlands team, and we really need them to come to the party tomorrow.
And, they are on top in the group on 4 points, but two other teams below them in Ecuador also on 4 points, Senegal also on 4 points. So it's still anybody's game.
Yes, the margin for error is very small, very small. So, teams will have to come tomorrow to play, and I believe that Netherlands will come up trumps tomorrow.
Shavar, how you see this one going? Do they win and book their spot to the second round, the Dutch?
I think they will. Because I think they're superior to Qatar, but they have been really flat, unimpressive. But I think they will eventually be the winners tomorrow.
All right, and that's at 10. Also at 10, Ecuador versus Senegal, and that promises to be a sumptuous contest. Sharona, Ecuador, they have looked the part throughout the tournament. Senegal, in their last match, came to the party. How do you see this one going?
Well, I see this as a very attacking game. I'm looking forward to seeing Ecuador maintain that style of play, and I'm hoping that Ecuador would win. I'm going to back Ecuador in this one, but it should be a very, very exciting game.
Coach Rademacher, the Senegalese team, they're coming off a win in their last match against Qatar. They'll have some confidence despite about to face a vaunted Ecuador team. Can they pull off a surprise?
Would it really be a surprise? I think Senegal, yes, they lost Mane, and they lose some of the
African
hype
champions
that they had.
too, by the way.
But they still have quality players that play at a high level. I think their defensive line could be one of the better defensive lines in this group. And as much as Ecuador plays nice football, I think they had their moments against Qatar, even against Netherlands, where they show some flair. Ismail Sarr on the wing, really giving a hard time to De Ligt on that left flank. So it's going to be an interesting match.
Let's look at the table so our viewers can get a clear sight of what's happening. So the Dutch on top, 4 points, along with Ecuador, Senegal on 3 points. They had a win against Qatar. Ecuador beating Qatar, drawing with the Netherlands. Coach Coley, let me bring you back in here in terms of this contest between Senegal and Ecuador. How do you see this one going? The Ecuador team, they've looked almost a surprise package in the group in terms of how they've played thus far, even against the Dutch team in their last match.
The Ecuadorian team is coming out of the South American group where, they had good competition. They did very well against Argentina and Brazil. So they are developing their young players. They want to express themselves. And they have, a Valencia who seem to not, who keep on scoring rather, who keep on scoring. So a very, very, very tough game. I'll give Ecuador the edge to the fact that, each game they are scoring goals. The Senegal team, except from the last game, they have not been scoring goals. So the Ecuador team can make it very difficult for them to score. I believe the Ecuador will come out on top. So it will be a tough game, but based on the trend that I'm seeing, I believe the Ecuadorian will come out on top.
Of course, and Valencia has been the man for Ecuador thus far, scoring all 3 of their goals in the tournament, and one to look out for once again. All right, so quick trek over to Group B now, where Wales, England, also Iran, USA. Coach Price, I'm going to be starting with you, and those matches come up at 2. So because they are the final group matches, they over the years, what the tournament organizers have done is to ensure that both matches begin at the same time to avoid any, corruption of any sort. So both matches go off at the same time. So everybody will be, both officials from both matches will be following each other. Wales, England. England started out with a howling victory, 6-2, but the Americans pegged them back in their second match, and in England now it's about who should be starting, and should Harry Kane be starting tomorrow in this contest against Wales, for instance. But 2 teams familiar with each other, Coach Price, but who come up trumps here?
Well, I believe England should get the job done. Of course, they're under a lot of pressure from the British press after drawing with the United States. But the United States are a pretty good team, and they really put the English team under pressure. I think that coaches, especially somebody like Southgate, they listen a lot to the media, and people are asking the questions: why isn't Grealish playing? Why isn't Foden playing? Why isn't Rashford playing? So we might see a raft of changes for tomorrow's game, and these players might start in the game so as to kind of get the other players fresh for the second round. But I definitely think that England has enough players that will be able to do the job and get the 3 points over Wales.
Shavar, can your team get through tomorrow against the Welsh team? Shavar is supporting England, folks.
England, no.
No? All right. So, but in terms of who you are carrying for that contest against the
Wales, England?
Yes.
I think England will win. I mean, they have the quality, but I would slightly disagree with Coach Price that the coach should make any dramatic changes and just put players in just like that, because this is not just a soccer game or a World Cup game. This is 2 nations who have a lot of history together, and we all know it. So Wales are gonna come out there to fight for everything. And but if they should dethrone any team in the World Cup, why wouldn't it be England?
Yeah, a major talking point coming out of the game against the Americans was why was Phil Foden left on the bench, and should he start against this Welsh team? Should Raheem Sterling be back in the starting lineup after a lackluster performance? What say you in terms of players that...
For me, I'll probably make, the only change I would make is put Foden in, but I'll stick with most of the group that started, because at the end of the day, you want to go into your knockout round with say 14 players, 15 players in mind that you could put anyone in the starting lineup. You don't want to make no wholesale changes and just willy-nilly, and so for me, I wouldn't. If I was a coach, if I was Southgate, I wouldn't make any dramatic changes.
By the way, Argentina is Shavar's team, but England is your second team?
No.
All right, Coach Coley, let me bring you in here. We've said a lot.
What if I do myself?
We've said a lot, Coach Coley, about England, but this Wales team, can they pull off a surprise against this England tomorrow? Gareth Bale and co. They would be familiar with the English team and the players they boast. So that is the kind of matchup we're looking at.
No, I don't believe they will pull off a surprise. The only surprise I believe is if the Wales team play very well. They have not been playing well. They're not been playing well. You look at Gareth. He's not having the best tournament. Not having the best tournament. They are unsure if they play with a appointment striker or they use speed on the wing. So the game model is not really coming together for the Welsh team. The English team, they played against a tough American team who know their animation. They know that the England team is playing through the middle, and they really block that. So it's about how England adjust now. Do they go around the Welsh team, or or they go a little bit direct? So it's about how they play. It's about how England play tomorrow, not about what the Welsh team do. But it's a World Cup game. It's always a tough game. It's all about the mentality. And the Welsh team has a lot of pride, and as Shavar said, a lot of history in terms of England and Wales.
All right, let's bring the table up here now, and as we go to the Iran-USA matchup, where England are on top with 4 points, one more than Iran, who are on 3 points. The US on 2 points. Of course, Wales, they're on a solitary point and just hanging by a thread in terms of their qualification hopes. Sharona, the US-Iran, a game as well that has geopolitical considerations and underlying feel to it. But can the Americans, the CONCACAF team, come up trumps against an Iranian team that really did well in their last match against the Welsh, coming away with that win?
Well, I think this one is definitely a tough clash, a hard clash. But I think it's going to be the decider for who is going through. So there's going to be a lot riding on that. So I'm going to give Iran the edge.
Coach Radamakas, who are you giving this
one? I'm looking forward to this one. We reached that last stage of the first round, and yes, we have England, the big country playing, and we have Netherlands, the bigger countries of the two groups. But really and truly, you want to watch these games. Iran, USA, this is what matters. It really going to come down to it, and it's going to be very interesting. I thought USA had a very mature performance against England, which is good to see from USA as a young team. But I would say I give it to USA.
All right, and that's the final whistle for this afternoon. And I am Jermaine Brown. Thanks once again to my analysts, Andrew Price, Shavar Thomas, Sharona Forrest, Eric Radamakas, and of course, Miguel Coley there joining us via Zoom. And a big thank you once again for joining us, and we'll be back tomorrow with lots more.